Today I'm going to talk about the DJI Pocket 3, and this is an amazing device. However, you need to know how to hold it. You need to know how to adjust it, movements, or it can turn into a disaster like marriage. This is going to be a somewhat comprehensive video. It's going to move along kind of fast. Chapters in the description. The first thing that we're going to do is slow down the movements because this device moves sort of fast. So go too slow. Gimbal moves slowly to take smoother videos. Yes, we are looking for cinematic videos. And the only downside of this is that there's a slight learning curve when you're in this mode. When you're in this mode, you notice that turning is really slow, but when you walk and you hook a corner, it's a good idea to start turning before you even hit that corner so that you'll clear the corner by the time that you get there. And your resulting footage is generally really smooth and it's absolutely beautiful. So the next thing you want to do is set the camera in log mode because you want to be filming in DLOG. It is a special look, a flat image, and there's a free LUT on DJI's website, or you could just download it on my YouTube description. I could give you a free LUT if you like. You go to this pro mode right here, and the color, change that to DLOG 10-bit. Ooh, that is so beautiful. Another tip is going to be your backup audio. It's just a good idea to set that as to on all the time because audio doesn't take up a lot of space. And you go into the settings, it's like the fifth one down, sixth one down. Okay, it's built-in mic audio backup. Turn that on. And this works in the regular filming mode. It doesn't work in low light mode. It doesn't work in slow motion. Well, there's no audio. But just regular filming mode, when you have audio, that's when it's working. So the next thing you want to do is look at orientation. And we're going to shoot in landscape all the time because this channel doesn't cater to TikTok losers. I'm kidding, okay? But you want it in landscape mode all the time because, okay, here is how it works in portrait mode. When you're in portrait mode, it turns to 3K resolution, okay? So you're losing some resolution and you're losing a lot of width because all it does is it just chops off the sides, okay? So let's just go back into landscape mode. You don't want to shoot portrait orientation in that mode. You want landscape mode, and all you do is you simply turn the camera to the side. And there you go. You're in portrait mode. The only downside is that it's, maybe not the most intuitive thing to hold the device like this. But if you have one of these cages or like Scotty makes stuff with like 1 million mounting points, you get one of those and you mount to it and you go sideways. That's the proper thing to do. Next up is one of the joystick controls, or we could start about talking about the joystick control, period, okay? So this camera is in follow mode. It tilts up and down, but no matter where you are, you see it's already pointed down. I double click, it points forward, and it is level. Everything is level. You see that? Look how beautiful that is. So even if I start pointing up, okay, I want this to get normalized, double click. Now it's normal, okay. So another thing that you can know is that you can triple click to turn around. 1, 2, 3. Now I'm looking at myself. You see that? 1, 2, 3. Forward, 1, 2, 3. Backwards. Okay, so this is about your device. You know it well. It's going to treat you well. Like marriage. Bruh. Okay, so when you're tracking, this should be kind of obvious, but single click to untrack. Okay, so that's another joystick item. So another joystick item is that when you are panning, okay, you see panning like this, it is never a good idea to pan like this while you're recording. However, while you're setting up a shot, it's perfectly acceptable. Just that you don't want your footage looking like it was filmed by Mark Zuckerberg. You want it filmed by a human. So when you pan it, you want to pan it by hand. Okay, you just turn the entire camera. Oh, by the way, I just hit gimbal reach out of endpoints reach. and double click to get away from that. So that double click, I just want to reiterate, that is an extremely useful, and you're going to use it all the time. It's just remember double click. So, but since I was on this pan tilt mode, another thing you can do is, like, when you're turned off, you can simply go into flashlight mode, and when you turn on, it's going to be center and level from that orientation. It's not going to point down. So that's another way to get to flashlight mode. When you're walking hands-free, it's the best to stay in pan tilt mode and double click to center. So another trick you can do with the joystick is that, let's say you have the perfect angle. It's going to be something like this, and you don't want it to move left or right. You're going to push through an object, push through a scene. Hold the joystick. Just hold it down. If you look at the head, no matter what it's doing, it's pointing that same direction that it was before, and then you just push forward. When you're doing this, there's a lock that shows up on the screen itself, letting you know that you're locked. And you just move up and down. When you're done, just let go. You're back into pan tilt. And if you're at a wrong angle, double click to get back to the normal. Because you have the joystick that is multi-purpose, it can either zoom in or it can adjust your framing. And you control that with this button right here, this 1X. Hold on. This thing is... There you go. Double click to get that back. You click this 1X. When it's 1X, it shows you that it's already in whatever magnification it is. You cannot zoom at... you cannot zoom in at that point anymore. Okay, so that's the magnification you're locked at. But if you don't see that, then that means that you're in zoom mode, and you can zoom closer, pull back. There we go. I'm at, let's just say I'm at 2X, which probably never a good idea. I click it again. Now I'm locked. You can see that it shows 2X is locked. Now I can adjust the joystick, and that's how you control that. I mean, this one thing does both, so that's just the way it is. So click on that and go back. So next up is when to use tracking, and you do not want to use tracking when you're vlogging with yourself. Here, remember triple click? It's back to yourself. You don't want to track yourself when you're vlogging like this because the reason is it moves too much. It is really fidgety. You don't want that fidgety motion. So it's not that hard to just keep the camera on yourself when you're vlogging. It's just that sort of thing. In general, I believe that you should only use this active tracking when your subject is further away. Say you're tracking somebody that's walking and their full body is away. They're maybe like 10 or 15 feet ahead of you. Tracking in that scenario works great. It's not going to be jumpy. It's going to move slowly. The issue with tracking is that it moves a lot faster than it does when you're in slow rotation mode, and your footage is not going to match up at all. You have some scenes that are really slow rotation and some that are fast rotation. Another mode that I found that tracking works, which was surprising and awesome, is in hyperlapse mode. Because when you're doing an hyperlapse, sure, you're walking and you're recording a time-lapse style video, but you want to track on something far away, prominent, and it just really sells your hyperlapses. So you point away to a long building in the background, and then you start your hyperlapse following that building, and it just looks so much better when it's done that way. So in short, with closer subjects, you don't want tracking on. With further subjects, yeah, it works great. This gimbal cover can cause damage to your screen if you're not careful. So get a dedicated case. It could be this eyeglass holder. It could be anything, as long as you have other ways to protect your gimbal. The next one is how to use manual focus. There's no particular manual focus, and the reason why you need manual focus is that you just want to lock focus into one position. You don't want it to change, and to do that, you just go to this focus mode down here. Focus mode continuous, click on that, change it to single, confirm. Okay, and then you just click on the subject once. Okay, so now the focus is right here. You can see that out of focus, in focus, and it's not refocusing. Everything else is going to be blurry because the focus is right in front. So there you go, manual focus. Just don't forget to change it back to continuous because it's going to be annoying if the rest of your footage is out of focus. So the next thing you need to know is when and where to lock exposure settings. And the most easiest example is if you're doing a reveal, okay? This action in itself, when I block the camera, what's happening is that the exposure is changing, and you can see that right here. If you go to exposure mode, you see your ISO, your shutter speed, and when I'm blocking it, my ISO is raising. However, my scene right here, the exposure mode says ISO 160. So it's telling you your settings on the rear of the camera right now. So what you want to do is you just hit manual, and then you can lock in that exposure. Is around 200 ISO and 150 for the shutter. Now when I block it, there's nothing that changes. I mean, the EV is telling you that the exposure is changing. However, it doesn't matter because your main exposure is this back subject right here. So when I block it, it goes down to negative 1.7, but it doesn't matter because when I reveal it, that is perfectly exposed. There is no ramping involved. So that would be the main scenario why you would lock exposure. Most of the time you can just set auto and be okay with it. If you're working with ND filters, same idea. However, even if you're working with ND filters, you're going to get an idea of what you need just based on experience. Like a bright sun idea, you're going to need ND64, and there you go. And you don't have to adjust too much. You just lock your ISO, shutter speed, because it's something that you've already experienced. You know what the settings are, and you're good to go. So another thing I want to discuss, and I haven't even done yet, but I will do it, is to find the right cage. Or if you don't have a cage and you don't have a carry system at all, try finding it, because your camera, it has good audio that's built in, and this is what I'm leading to. This wind reduction is not good, and I am going to put these little wind muff type things on it, these ride coat stickies. So they come in these two-way stickers right here, a bunch of wind muff dead cats, and these are made for smaller cameras like the RX 100s and point and shoot style cameras, and they're kind of large, so I'm going to cut it down and cover these holes. There's 3 of them for your mics. That's going to improve the audio of the mic. And most of the time, realistically, I'm not going to use this mic for recording the primary audio, but secondary and sound is great. And who wants wind noise ever to be in your footage? And those are the main device-oriented tips. There's more that you can do with the Mimo app, which will be saved for another video. But with those tricks, you should be able to manipulate this device the same way your kids manipulate you for money. And the whole idea is to be able to move quickly, to make it perform the way you want it to perform. Adjust what you need to adjust. And that is all I have for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, share. See you in the next one. Take care.